namaste, and good evening. This is meant to be an evening time class. This is gentle nighty night. Now, one of the most relaxing postures or group of postures in yoga that helps prepare us for good sleep are inversions. So you will need a wall tonight. You'll need access to a wall. You'll also need one bolster, and you'll need a blanket. So let's talk about the blanket for just a moment. The blanket, firm blanket is good, cotton or wool, and then you'll need to fold this blanket like so that the most important aspects of the blanket folding is that there's a steady surface that doesn't have any wrinkles in it, right? And we want it a little bit high up off the floor. All right, so we'll get to that in just a moment, the blanket, but we've got it folded and ready off to the side. Please come into downward facing dog. I know you're already warm because this is the end of the day, so just take a quick down dog. Find your ujjayi breath here, downward facing dog. Good. Garland pose or squat. Feet come forward to the edges of the mat or wider. Walk your hands back. Sit the hips down. Hands to the center of the heart. Breathe into the hips. Focus your gaze. All right, so we're on our way to sleep. So let the quality of your breath reflect this. Let your mind go inward. And feel every inhale and exhale. With your last few breaths here, let the fingertips rise to the forehead as the head draws down. And just bow to your day. What are you grateful for? What happened today that was expected? Or what happened today that was unexpected? Palms come down to the mat. Shift your weight forward. Drop one knee down and then the other. All right. From tabletop, tuck the toes under, sit the hips back onto the heels. Rabbit pose. Bring your forehead down to the mat. Hands reach back and grab the heels. Grabbing onto the heels with a nice firm grip. Forehead on the floor. Now hips will lift and you'll roll onto the top of the head. Feel a really strong tugging between the hands and the heels as your thighs are pressing your hips up, so it should feel strong in the thighs as well. Now breathe right into that space between the shoulder blades. Feel all the tension in the shoulders, all the tension from your day releasing. Two more breaths. Release back, child's pose. Tops of the feet on the floor, hips to the heels, hands back by the feet, shoulders drape. Soften and release here. Noticing how good it feels to be soft after all that muscular intensity of rabbit pose. Now we're letting go of that tension. Hands come forward. Again, through tabletop, this time onto your back. Lie down flat onto the floor. Palms down. Lift your hips an inch or two. So the hands are under the hips. Straighten your legs out onto the mat. Press down into the forearms. Lift the chest on our way to fish pose, Matsyasana. So lift up onto the forearms. Drop the head back. Your head might be off the floor. That's okay. Release the throat. Release the front of the chest. And lift your head first to protect the neck. Slowly release out onto the back. Hands come out from under the hips. Interlace the hands behind the head. Lift your head with the strength of your arms and slowly turn the head side to side. Releasing the neck. Head comes down onto the floor. Just take a breath here in this mini Shavasana. Roll over to one side and come up. Now grab your blanket and come to the wall. Might be a little bit tricky. So the blanket will come away from the wall. What you want is your shoulders on the blanket and your head on the floor. So coming to the wall, you put your shoulders on the blanket and there should be about 1 inch of blanket above your shoulder. So let's come to the wall. I think it's best if you sit parallel to the wall first, then lean out and just try to get yourself into a situation where as you're lying over the blanket, mine's a little bit too high. So I'm gonna adjust it, pull it 1 inch closer to the wall. Yep, and then lie down here so that my head's on the floor and my shoulders are fully supported with 1 inch of blanket above the shoulder. Nice. From here, hands are down by the hips. Bend the knees and place the feet, the whole sole of the foot onto the wall. Then press into the feet. Lift the hips up with support. Walk your hands underneath the hips. This is a shoulder stand. Okay, now the feet can come up level with the knees. For some, this is going to be plenty. If you want, straighten your legs and point your toes onto the wall. A nice strong inversion, but we're not working too hard because we are headed for bed. So we want to take the support of the wall here. So take a few more breaths. If you don't like your legs straight, you can bend the knees again. So some of us will stay right here at the wall. Otherwise, if you're pretty comfortable with a plow pose, let one foot start to come back overhead and then slowly let the other foot also come back overhead. And the toes might hang somewhere above the floor. That's totally fine. Or your toes might come down to touch the floor, which is also okay. Take a few deep breaths into the spine. And now to come out of this, we must come very slowly. So again, just one leg lifts straight up, then the knee bends and reaches for the wall as the other leg starts to lift. It comes straight up, the knee bends, foot reaches to the wall. Take a breath here, back in the supported shoulder stand. And release your hands to the sides, come off the shoulders, and use your feet with control to slowly and deliciously roll down the spine, one vertebrae at a time. Once your hips land, send your arms out to the side, legs up the wall. Just take a couple breaths here. Last full breath. Bend the knees in, roll over to one side, pause here in the fetal position for a moment. and slowly press up. Okay, take your blanket off to the side. Come back to your mat if you've moved away from the wall. And please lie down onto your back. Have your bolster close by where you can grab it. Hug the knees into the chest. Take a couple breaths. And happy baby pose. Hold the outer edges of the feet, rocking the spine into your mat side to side, also softening and releasing the hips. Great. Come to center and step your feet down onto the mat. Take your feet out to the edges of your mat. Arms overhead on the floor. Grab onto left wrist overhead. Pull that left wrist up and soften both of the knees down to the right. Lift your right foot. So find that right foot and step it on top of the left knee, pressing that knee down a little or a lot. Breathe into the bottom of the belly. Face soft, relaxed, breath steady and calm. As you come back to center, release the knees up to the sky, switch the grip of your hands. So now you're holding the right wrist, knees come down to the left, left foot lands on top of right knee, press it down. One more full breath here. Very good. Release back to center, constructive rest, hands down by the hips, take a breath. All right, I hate to ask you to roll to the side to sit up because I'm hoping your body is feeling like you want to just go to sleep right here. But it'll be worth it, I promise. Grab your bolster. Place it underneath the spine. Bring the soles of the feet together and go ahead and lie on back onto the bolster. Yeah, palms face up. Supported, reclined, butterfly pose. So delicious. Eyes closed. Feel the breath open and free through the chest. Let the hip soften with gravity. And stay here as long as you like. You may end with a shavasana after this posture, or perhaps you'll be ready after 5 minutes or so here to go right to sleep. Thanks for watching. Nighty night.